Hello and welcome to Feedback for the week of July 14th. Feedback Redux, Remix. What people here don't really realize is that this may be the second time we're recording Feedback for the week.
Something happened.
We've all done a bunch of drugs before we came down here to try and make it a little more interesting the second time around.
I don't remember the first time at all.
That's actually why.
Blacked out and said a bunch of shit.
Blacked it out.
I had Morgan hit me in the head repeatedly until I forgot yeastray. So
Are you a
this is
wizard?
fresh to me.
Yeah, we did lose that amazing Dragon Age conversation. But to try and rectify the situation with me this week is ABBIE, HEPPE, Sterling McGarvey, Morgan Webb, and Matt Kyle. What we just got off of this weekend was EVO 2010. Matt, you were there. You saw Adam doing the commentary. Kind of what was the vibe at emo in
Emo?
Wow. It was emo if you were watching the sad streaming.
You just want to take us from the top,
No.
emo kid?
Nope. Keep rolling with it.
It was again, biggest fighting tournament in the world. Organized by Tom and Tony Cannon, who only do it because they're fans. It's been going on for about 15 years now, and it's the biggest it's ever been. They had 3,000 entrants. Here's another thing: one of the best organized events in gaming in the gaming world. They had about 2,000, between 1,600 and 2,000 entrants for the Super Street Fighter 4 tournament, and they whittled that down to 32 competitive semifinalists in one day on Friday.
On time.
On time.
How did they do that? I don't understand.
Magic.
They are ruthless. It's like
I don't really
A
understand that. On
magic
time.
Excel document.
Think how hard it was to get all of us down here just to get this done on time. And then think about
7,000 emails, 14 phone calls, some text messages,
Just to
and we're all here.
randomly talk about video games
Yeah.
for 45 minutes.
and I watched all 45 hours, and it was pretty much to time
You watched
on
all
everything.
45 hours.
I watched all 45 hours.
Like actually
Wow.
watching, or just like
I
it's over in
actually
the.
watched all 45 hours.
How did you 100% complete any games this weekend? If you
I
were
didn't.
watching,
I didn't play a thing really. I just watched Evo because I love watching really high level fighting game stuff. I can't play very well when it comes to fighting games, but I love watching it.
we're working on rectifying that.
There's still
I
3
know.
more orbs in
Matt's
Crackdown.
giving me training.
are you inspired now, having seen all these high level
Yeah,
players?
I mean, it's slightly depressing because I will never, ever get that good. But yeah, Matt's training me in Street Fighter now.
Yeah, they had a women's invitational tournament.
I saw. Has that always been something they've
No,
done,
I
or is
think
it just
that was
because
new
it's
this
become
year.
popular enough?
I think that was new this year, which I found it weird because
Is
it's
it
like,
actually really good players, or like enough girlfriends
They're good.
of fighters showing up
they
that
were
they
no,
could
they
do
were
a
good. I
tournament?
mean, they weren't like Justin Wong, but they were. I mean,
And they were
good.
in the normal tournament anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I mean, they'd been knocked out to the point when it got to the semifinals, but there was still some, like, a couple of the matches, the last two were really fun to watch.
The girl who won Kayane is she's a French girl who, I think she was 12, she won like some like international Soul Calibur tournament. She's just good at them. She's only been playing Street Fighter 4 for 4 months before she won the tournament at EVO.
Wow.
I know. What was one of the major players that kind of came to number was this guy named GamerB, right?
GamerB.
Well,
Game of Me
yeah.
was awesome. I was rooting
Which
for
I know. I
him.
saw
Everybody was.
Everyone on Twitter was really rooting for this guy.
Because he knocked out Justin Wong in the semifinals, and it was he was playing Adon, and Matt will go into more detail about how nobody really
Why
nobody
does
really
anyone
plays
play Adon?
Adon.
Well,
and-
Adon's just not like Adon's not considered one of your top tier characters. He's not used very much in serious, tournament play.
But
He's more
why?
of a counter because some characters are stronger than others.
Does that
you know,
just
it's
mean he's
No,
like
they're
a
supposed to be
poorly
balanced.
Is it poorly balanced, or it's just
not poorly
he
balanced?
doesn't?
It's just
There's some characters it's just a pain in the ass to play with, and
Yeah.
like in order to get really good in tournament level with those people is even more impressive than if you just show up and do a Ryu.
Is it
And
like
this
in
is what people complain
StarCraft?
about with Daigo.
Is it like StarCraft where like certain of the like the Terrans take way more actions per second
Yeah,
to
it is
sort
like
of
that.
compete with?
it's
Okay.
kind of like that. So
I mean,
you
there
have
are
to know how to
characters that
use
you're
them
just
really
not going to
best.
win that much with against certain. There are bad matchups. Like Rufus is Rufus is a very strong character, but against Zangief, you're probably going to lose more times than you win because like Zangief's strengths just play against Rufus's weaknesses. That's just
So
how it goes.
do you pick like I would pick my character and I would only play that character, or do I switch
Yes.
off?
Usually you have a main character, you only play them, you're best with them, but most people have like secondary characters that they have, if like someone who plays Rufus will probably have another character that they'll play to counter Zangief if someone they're playing against. It's called counter picking.
Okay. So
Isn't
say,
it? Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
So say that next year maybe I'll be in the tournament. So which character would I start with right now?
Whoever you want.
No, I need to win. What's the winning character?
There is no winning character.
There's no winning character.
one
For
with
me,
the-
I know
the
there's
one
no
with
winning
the
character for
Hadouken.
me.
There's top tiers.
The one with the
I mean,
Hadouken is the winning character.
you go with Ryu. You go with Zangief, Strong, Rufus. People do love the. Rufus is probably the best of the new characters
Okay.
of the two games.
It's funny.
I'll start Rufus. I'm gonna be awesome.
There was
by
a
next-
Chun-Li in the semifinals.
I'm gonna suck. I'm kidding.
See, I was the masochistic bastard who was like, I'm going to play as Crimson Viper. Like, before Street Fighter 4 came out, and I was just practicing at it. That worked out
That was a
really
heavy
well.
sigh from Matt
That worked
Kyle.
out so well.
There was a good Crimson Viper
There
in
was,
the semifinals.
yeah.
That takes skills.
That's the thing about Super is it is a much more balanced game than the normal.
And
They learned that that was like kind of what they learned empirically this time around was like last year, like I guess there were more Ryus and Sagat. You know, Sagat was completely dominant in Street Fighter 4, and they leveled the playing field a bit more, and you had a lot of characters no one expected to see, like Gamer B with Adon. And the thing was, like, because he's from Taiwan, like he's using some Taiwanese game scene strategies that people weren't really used to, and so there was some belief during the finals that only Gamer B really had a serious shot at taking out Daigo. But Gamer B lost to a couple other guys who could beat Gamer B, but probably weren't going to beat Daigo.
Right.
So it was a little kind of like a little lack of drama there, I guess. But
When isn't some of the drama of you like everyone has like a main, but when someone deviates from that, like I know that when I was watching the commentators, like some people were actually kind of you get kind of upset when someone doesn't pick their main because the character you picked was assuming that they were going to pick that other
planning
main.
to go, and then that happened. I don't remember who it was playing against.
Someone
Justin
Chun-Li,
Wong.
I swear I was watching at some point, like someone got really upset that someone picked Chun-Li and that wasn't their main. It might have been Gamer B or something, but
It wasn't
No,
Gamer.
no, he
Gamer B
only
stuck
used
with Adon.
Adon.
Okay.
I know. I remember the match you're talking about. There was another time when somebody was playing against Justin Wong in the semifinals, and he was losing, so he switched to Rufus. Justin Wong pretty much invented how to play Rufus, and he got destroyed. I mean, it was like he was standing still. But so sometimes the counter picking doesn't go quite
work
the way
as
you
well.
think, and sometimes you should stick with your strengths.
Sterling, as someone who's a huge World Cup advocate, and we kind of saw the U.S. kind of get behind soccer a little bit this year. We'll see if that actually stays beyond the World Cup.
Yeah,
but
we'll
I think part of that is the appeal of watching high level play. Like, is that part of the appeal for Evo
I
as
think
well?
that is the appeal of Evo. I think it's fascinating to watch people do a bunch of stuff that there's no way you'll ever be able to do it, and watch like the height of what it is in competitive gaming. I mean, that's why you have arenas of people who just sit around and watch dudes play StarCraft in Korea. I mean, it's all about.
It's pretty
watching.
awesome.
Yeah, it's just.
I
want
want to go next year. I was so jealous.
Who's
Like,
great at
Yeah.
a game and watching them get highly competitive at it.
Well, and I know one of the things that was kind of lamented online was that the people that were sort of commenting the stream or
Oh my God.
anonymous hardcore commentators, they were pretty negative. But Matt, you were there, and the vibe was completely positive.
It wasn't like that. It was, everyone there is very friendly, very open, very glad that everyone there. You pretty much you pay your own way to get to Evo. Like 99% of the people that are there, you don't buy a plane ticket to Vegas if you're going to go there to be a. It's just like everyone's there because they love fighting games.
Not
they
if you're there for
watching this-
Evo.
I was just saying. I was like,
Maybe the rest of people.
Yeah.
In Vegas.
And here I watched 45 hours of like the online streaming stuff, which has a Twitter feed running next to it, which frankly, I don't know how many people who were posting that realized that it was all getting indexed on Twitter. But it was the most racist, homophobic, sexist, like garbage
Live.
I have ever, I've seen outside of Xbox Live. No, it was like awful, and it was so sad because I'm watching this like amazing fighting tournament, and everybody seems so positive, and the crowd is cheering, and everybody's really excited, and then you get to the you look at the online comments, and none of that positivity is reflected in what people are saying. And it was just really hard to
Everyone's freaking
reconcile
out
the
and-
both of those.
And everyone in the arena was freaking out, and everyone online was like, "Marvel vs. Capcom 3 looks like it sucks." It's like, what are you watching?
Why aren't there more characters in this game? Oh my God, they said that
Maybe
there's
because
8 now, and it's like
8 months off, and
Yeah.
they're going to tease probably 20 of those at Comic Con.
Yeah, like 10 characters. If this game's over, it's like, no, come on, guy. Like, it's. I mean, I don't understand how that dichotomy. It was so sharp between the people who were there and everyone you talked to and everyone who was just so happy to be among people who also love this genre, and then the people watching online
Trolls.
who
Yeah.
just
Well,
seem
there's
to
a
hate
difference.
everything presented to them.
There's a difference between any anonymous hole on the internet
Right,
and
and-
some guy who paid to go to Vegas
Yeah.
to watch guys play at high level.
But the anonymous hole on the internet is getting it for free.
This would be a great
True.
transition
But he's
into the
also
Blizzard.
not.
I know. When we're actually
Right.
in the feedback redux, we're actually going to use that as a transition.
We should say also that the X-Play special on Evo, X-Play versus Capcom, that's coming up on July 20th.
Yeah, and you can check out all. I know everything's archived. Like you can see a
Everything's
bunch
on
of
YouTube.
Everything's
You
on
can
watch
YouTube
all
on
45 hours and be
G4TV.com.
like
You can
Abby.
check out all that
Yeah.
stuff.
I should also reiterate again: Evo anti-Gen Con.
Yes.
Leave it at that.
The
Gentrification.
anti-Gen Con.
This is again like good
Gentrification.
jokes from yesterday that are getting just totally.
They
Yeah.
almost become memes because we just had 2 shows.
Yeah, now we just had an in-joke for a show that doesn't exist.
People
That was
can make up
amazing.
their own jokes.
Yeah.
It's interactive.
Insert the joke in the comments.
Yes.
It was really funny yesterday, guys. Sorry.
was.
Yeah,
I
it
swear.
totally
Hilarious.
was.
It's at least semi-funny. But the anonymous commentators,
Wow.
like as we're
Wow, thanks, Patrick.
Yeah, I'm gonna reference shows that people can't go back to and make fun of those jokes. But as we're talking about these sort of anonymous commentators, Blizzard recently tried to, or at least proposed, implementing their real ID system into not into their games, but into their message boards. And the idea
Insane.
being, if you wanted to continue participating, starting with StarCraft 2, then morphing over to World of Warcraft, then eventually Diablo 3, you would have to list your real name to participate in the discussions. You can list your real name in the game, but that is completely optional. Although this did seem like a step in that direction going down the line. But the response was awful. Pretty much everyone was universally negatively against it. Probably a little more rightfully so this time around. And then Blizzard recently said that,
Just
yeah,
kidding.
guys, yeah, no, we're just screwing with you.
Are
Oh,
bad.
hey.
Apparently, you don't like it. I mean, if anyone's going to be able to pull it off, it would be Blizzard.
Right.
But people are also so attached to their screen names and their character names that it's going to be much more difficult. On the other hand, like people's character names are attached to their forum IDs, so you'd think that would kind of make people be on their best behavior. But
Because that almost is
doesn't
their
really.
real name in a certain sense. Like if you've had a
Totally.
character with one name for 5-6
Yes.
years, like
Yeah.
you are known as that. That is your.
Yeah,
like,
what
having a
happens
real
when they
name's
switch
not going to
over and
change
they're
anything.
They're like Shadow Blaster 853 had like 50,000 posts, and now it's just some dude named like
Matt Kyle.
Tony Smith.
Shadow Blaster, we just outed you.
Shadow Blaster.
I like
don't know
it.
where I got that from.
I like it. But so yeah, they went back on that. I mean, but they said they're going to implement some sort of more community features, which is going to be like people can vote comments up and down. I don't find their forums particularly bad, I have to say.
No.
And I know you said, Morgan, that even if you don't want to participate, you have to go into those forums just to understand. Because World of Warcraft was made, a number of years ago. The tutorials for a lot of people aren't going to explain how to do the
There's no
high-level
tutorials
play.
for World of Warcraft. They throw you in there and they start talking about all this stuff that you've been crafting, and you have no idea what the hell they're talking about. You go to external forum sites, or you go to their forums, and also there's always some download issue or something, so you're always on their forums. But honestly, like, I probably don't delve into the depths of the forums where they're discussing like patch notes and really pissed off about some like respawn time. But I don't find their
Night
forums
Elf
that
mating
bad.
rituals.
But I don't go to the night elf mating ritual subject heading.
Neither
So that's
do
a
I.
policy.
Just filter those out.
It's a
Do they have
policy,
the off-topic
personal
like
policy.
NeoGAF where sometimes it just gets ugly
Yeah,
and scary and dark?
they can hire more moderators.
Yeah, I think they can afford it. Maybe.
Zing.
Maybe.
No, I think they're sending all that money to Activision so they can spend it on those concerts at E3 with like Eminem and stuff. And
Dead
Usher.
mouse popping out of the stage, spinning.
I mean, Abby, do you see any way they could have handled this any differently to make it work, or was it just so ill-conceived from the
maybe so-
beginning?
Yeah, I think
Don't you
maybe
have
at
like a
some point you
test
could have,
group of like a few users? You're like, hey guys, what do you think about this? And
Yeah,
and they're like, oh God, no, and
I feel like
you
some
just
point
don't say
in
it publicly.
In the meeting, the board meeting for that,
Yeah.
someone would have been like, "Hey, this is a horrible, horrible idea, and we should think of something else."
I mean,
But
it
guess
sounds,
that
it
didn't
sounds like
happen.
they were thinking on a sort of utopian, like idealistically, this, I think about if you outed people and made them like sort of sit by their real life personas, they probably would be more civil. But the downsides, especially when people are so ingrained in the fantasy side of it, doesn't seem to make any sense.
Ideally, sure, but like putting your real name gives people access to an awful lot of information about you.
Yeah.
And I don't.
As we witnessed.
Yeah,
Fa-
as
Facebook
we've
privacy
seen
settings
before.
are confusing. I'm pretty sure mine are set correctly, but who knows? Like what people can, they just search you what they can come up with.
Yeah, and so I'm surprised that they didn't think more about that. I
You
don't
can
know.
because you can get someone's address and phone number online,
Yeah.
pretty much. And so somebody beats you in StarCraft, or somebody is spending all this time like messing with you in Warcraft, and then all of a sudden you're getting letters to your house. and that's not something.
I mean,
that
there's been
people
some
are comfortable with.
some ugly situations on Xbox Live. I know where stalkers or someone have found out, through people either chatting. I mean, you have to voluntarily give that information. It's not something that they require you to do. But when it has happened, there have been some ugly situations that have arisen out of that. So I can imagine you would definitely not want to ever, be forced to say your real name on there.
I think people would end
anywhere
up
really
on other forums.
Yeah,
is what would happen. And there are like a lot of places people just wouldn't go onto those forums anymore.
I think I like the idea of have they set up sort of a test server that said, hey, we're thinking about doing this. If you want to participate and expose, your real life identity, we'll see how this works. And then if it didn't work, if there were problems, but at least you elected to go into it. And then if it blew up in their face, it wouldn't be such a bad situation.
They just want to be Facebook.
Yeah,
Everybody wants to be
There's
Facebook.
a lot of power in having people's names so you can do targeted
Names,
advertising.
information, birthdays, likes, dislikes, who they're dating. All that stuff is important information. And they're like, well, we have a lot of users. Let's put them to work for us. And the users didn't want to be put to work.
This will be our strategy, however, for the EVO 2011 stream chat.
Yeah.
We will make that a requirement.
And it will include your phone number in the name. We're
And I
coming
am,
for you.
for that reason, I am a little bit sympathetic to moving away from a completely anonymous internet.
Right.
I do see both sides of the argument. Because, we get a lot of stuff here that's like, you wouldn't say that to me in real life. Like you
or
would
even
never,
if your real name was
if your
attached
real name,
to it.
we would never say anything
yeah.
like
I've never
that.
been saddened by of things people have posted on our forums or on on reviews or previews or things. Yeah, people are awful on the internet.
Yeah.
In general, there's no accountability. And I mean, listening to you guys talk about stuff in WoW kind of sounds like French to me because I've never played WoW. But
There's still time.
Careful.
She'll suck you in. Be careful.
No, thank you.
No, she has she tries to guilt all of us into playing.
Guilty and you're like,
Do you guys know where I used to work before here?
Doesn't
I
matter.
managed to deflect WoW. Like,
It wasn't
boom,
Blizzard,
force
so-
field. It was a force field.
And it wasn't with Morgan. She could do it.
Yeah, Morgan can do that eye look thing, and you're just like, oh,
I'm not buying it.
damn it.
You can try it right now.
No.
Nope, not
No,
gonna do
You,
it.
doesn't-
think it's
it
funny
doesn't-
until you go
that
back to your
said,
desk and it's
doesn't-
already set up on
it
your
doesn't
computer
work
with the
when you're
login.
I might as
Yeah,
well
it
just
doesn't
hit
work
launch
already
and
for
see
it.
what
Try
it
what I don't
is.
expect it won't work. But that said,
One click won't hurt.
And then after that, you're playing, and it's like the next
First-
morning, she's like, you weren't on very long last night. What's wrong? And you're like, nothing. I'll be on twice as much tonight.
Again.
Yep.
But
Very-
to bring the train back onto the rails and not bring up yesterday's jokes, no matter how hard
Feel
you
free
try.
to. I got no problem with it.
Hey, Morgan,
Only
you-
we've heard it
You
before.
remember that time
Yeah.
with that thing?
Oh my
The
god, that was
thing.
so
That was awesome.
funny.
Wasn't it great?
I know.
No, it doesn't matter. Trolls are going to reinvent themselves with some anonymous Gmail account, and everything that you're trying to prevent, it's not going to matter. They're going to circumvent it. So
But
while the intentions were noble, I think in reality, maybe testing it out might have been good. Maybe if they did a real ID server that people could say, okay, I have no problem taking responsibility for who I am. This is this is the waiting pool I want to hang out in. Then I think that would have worked better.
Well, and the ironic part was that there was a blog that was sort of outing different Activision and Blizzard employees, including one Bobby Kotick, listing his last 5 addresses and his phone number, his wife's Facebook page. So, the man himself, who may have been part of this idea, sort of got outed. I don't know how much he cares, but and this is called the segue, I guess.
Speaking of
that's-
Bobby Kotick.
Speaking of Bobby Kotick, Tim Schafer was in the UK for the Develop Conference. He's giving a presentation about how he's managed to stay in the games industry and kind of create the games he wants to make for so long. And in an interview, a really fascinating interview with Eurogamer, so you should go check out the full thing. But he, the headline going around the internet today is that he called, Bobby Kotick a total which is true. The question was in regards to sort of the perception that people just have of Bobby Kotick that he is a dick. And, that's pretty true. And Bobby Kotick has sort of recognized it. But when Eurogamer asked Schafer about it, he said, Bobby Kotick's obligation is to his shareholders. Well, he doesn't have to be such a dick about it, does he? I think there's a way he can do it without being a total dick. It seems like it would be possible. It's not something he's interested in. Which,
I mean, the Forbes article last year all but said, he's like, yeah, I'm good at selling stuff. I might play a couple of things. I will pose with a guitar on the front of Forbes, but I sell games. I don't play them. And that's the image that he's projected, that he's a businessman first and foremost.
But which would be fine if he had
Wasn't
respect
so-
for games
yeah.
and had surrounded himself by people who did play games, because honestly, like, if he's really selling and if he's really trying to push his company, he probably doesn't have a lot of time to get all the orbs in Crackdown.
Right.
You know, but if he surrounds himself by people who are passionate, then that would be.
Stop looking at me. You know that I
Okay.
got all the orbs in Crackdown
Wait, you
last night.
Abby
Did you?
got-
That's looking at
Abby
yes,
got
I
all
did.
the
Wow, that's
agility
just changed
orbs
from
last
one
night.
feedback
And
to
all
the
the
next.
live
Went from
orbs.
3
Three
orbs to 0
led
orbs.
to 0 orbs. Nice work, Abby.
Matt has them all too.
Yeah, well.
I'm behind.
I hate you
We're not
both.
talking about me, are we?
You just kept looking at shut up.
What I think is interesting, I think you're right that like he doesn't have to be a gamer kind of like Riccatello is over at
Right.
EA. As long as people around him are informing him this is a good idea, it's good for sales, and he can evaluate that side. I think Schaefer brought up another quote that I thought was pretty interesting. He said that Kotick definitely has the kind of widget maker attitude. I don't think he's great for the industry overall. You can't just latch onto something when it's popular. You can't actually. Then squeeze the life out of it and then move on to the next one. You have to at some point create something and build something. And I think that is a noble idea, but as he's sort of proven from one franchise to the next, Kotick can do that. Gamers
He
will
can, but
buy
it doesn't last forever.
Yeah,
It's like
short-term versus
What-
long-term
what are
business
we-
strategies.
It lasted a
What's-
while,
what's
and now
the
he's got
next-
A while,
Warcraft.
but eventually you're going to run. I keep saying this, but eventually they're going to run into a point where the people who are creative and inventive and talented who have made these franchises that Activision is draining dry are going to know better than to work with them in the
Sure.
future.
He's
and then
burning a
who's
lot
gonna,
of-
who's
he's
going to
burned
make
bridges.
who's going to make the next Guitar Hero, the next Call of Duty, like the new franchise that then Activision can ride into the ground for the next 5 years? Like, who's going to be dumb enough
Bungie.
essentially to do? Well, yes.
But they didn't sign over the IP. I mean,
I'm not saying they're dumb. I mean, it's just like we kept saying that after
Yeah, we
after
found the next
Respawn,
thing.
had
Yeah.
gone on to do their own thing, and then you get the announcement about Bungie
You
joining
got to
forces
assume
with them.
Bungie's got a better deal than say,
Yeah.
Treyarch.
Oh yeah, and we've discussed
Right.
that I think to death at this point on here, but sorry.
But it is true that
It's
a lot of the independent developers or the ones that are left
Sure.
are demanding that they own the IP every time. And what Activision did with last couple of franchises, they bought Blizzard essentially, they bought Guitar Hero, they bought Call of Duty, or at least the developers. So that doesn't exist as much anymore. If you're going to acquire people, it tends to be that you can publish the game, but you're not going to get that IP forever. And I think what's going to be interesting is if we have these different developers not signing over their IP, but do they switch publishers after a game or two?
Well,
Like-
I think, and they're very unlikely to even sign with Activision because they have a reputation now,
Yes.
especially after what happened with Tim Schafer and Double Fine. That a lot of these small
And Infinity
developers,
Ward.
and if they're going to be like, I will take less of a deal from someone else. I will take less money from someone else. I'll take a worse deal because I know that at some point Activision is going to sue me. Activision's going to decide to not pay me for some reason because I don't know, I'm not doing what they want me to do, and it's not worth it.
Well, I mean, despite the stumblings that they've had with sales, EA Partners has been just like an awesome initiative, and I feel like that's a
Activision
sterling
Partners.
example, of how
THQ partners.
Well, they've
Yeah.
That's the actual copycat.
Yeah, but I mean, that to me is like a great system if you're a developer where you have your distribution taken care of, you've got the autonomy to make the game that you want, and it's just kind of, I think it's a win-win outside of getting people to buy your game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting, speaking specifically to Schaefer, because he said in the same interview that his next game is going to be announced very soon. Who he signs with, be like, will he... I think, EA really went to bat for him on Brutal
Yeah.
Legend. I don't know how EA feels about how that panned out, because it didn't really pan out for them, but EA did
I feel like EA would take another. I mean,
I think so, too.
Yeah, EA's really
I think they
rediscovered
would.
the idea that this is a creative industry, not, as Schaefer says, a widget-making industry. I think almost every company's starting to kind of get around to that mentality, except Activision. And again, that'll only last as long as Kotick's making money for them.
Yeah,
if they
and-
actually hit that wall, the shareholders are going to demand a change.
Yeah. I mean,
they
and
almo- yeah,
I've
they
been
also
waiting for
might
that to
be-
happen, but so far Riccatello seems to have a couple of years left to making this happen, so...
sorry.
It'll be and actually to bring us something that'll make us all excited. In the Eurogamer interview, they did talk about Psychonauts 2 and brought up the idea of would you be interested in doing it? And Schaefer has said a number of times that he'd be interested. So the quote he said was, "It's one of those games that's easily extendable. Everyone you meet, any interesting character you've ever run into, you ever thought of, would like to go inside their mind. That's another level of the game. It has endless possibilities, and I love those characters. And my nephew really wants me to make it." So the Eurogamer followed up saying, "Well, why don't you do it then?" And his answer was, "I didn't say I wasn't."
Yay.
So it sounds like it may not be happening right now.
Don't care, as long
but
as
that it sounds like
This is going to be my Beyond Good and Evil.
Exactly.
Like,
I have a little more confidence in Schaefer
Don't
figuring
say
it
that
out.
because that means it's never coming.
Shut up.
I request a Psychonauts versus Capcom in which you go into the minds of all the Capcom characters and solve the psychoses.
That would be amazing. What was going on in Dante's head?
That would be the meat circus equivalent, I think.
So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that maybe that we can add that we should have like a list of games that we know will never happen, but that we will endlessly pine to
Don't
and bring
say that
bring
it'll
up.
never happen. You just got all positive about it, and now
know.
we're getting.
Well, you
come on.
positive every time I bring up Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah,
That
it's
doesn't
gonna
mean I think it's
happen.
going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
And I also want a new console Okami.
Yep.
But I don't want it on the Nintendo.
Look at you,
Sterling. Any Nintendo
you just,
console.
you just drifted off into a...
Oh, I was just, as soon as you were talking about Psychonauts, I was like, what would be
Drunk.
an Amaterasu's head?
Yeah.
Flowers.
Flower.
Cherry
Okami
blossom.
HD was like
Perfection.
incredible.
She's a god.
And stepping on that stupid flea.
Barking. It'd be happy times. Okami HD, I would totally be down with
Hell
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd be so down with that.
Well, maybe that can be one of those... Actually, that could have been one of those... we talk about that? One of those classics that could have been updated? Okami would make a good
Yeah,
one.
Okami
Oh,
would be a
absolutely.
good.
Just put it on the list. That makes it happen more.
Exactly.
The div
Like
list.
referring to games
If
that
you
really
clap your
didn't come out
hands
that
up,
long ago
I
as
know.
classics.
Spring
Yeah.
development
Okami too. I'll put
funny.
my name on that.
That's kind of odd, really. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like when I mean, like, what are the next wave of songs that are oldies? You know, like when stuff in the '90s starts
Avril
being,
Lavigne.
scary. I'm sorry, it's just weird. Like referring to Okami as
You're freaking out right now.
No,
You're
no.
kind of losing it. Motley Crue on the classic rock station. What the hell?
Yeah, I know. All right, whatever, fine.
Are you all right?
Shut up. Next subject.
You okay?
Doing okay?
Think of your orbs. How you have all of them.
You have all of them.
You have all the orbs.
All the hidden ones,
Every
too?
single orb.
No, I have a bunch more hidden ones to get.
Oh, so these are just the
green orb.
agility
I'm getting
green.
close.
Agility
yeah.
non
And live.
Hi, are the hidden ones?
I need to get all the live orbs.
All right, well,
too.
actually, we might as well just transition. So, game of the week is
Matt, we gotta
Crackdown
play
2.
game. We gotta play Crackdown tonight, Matt.
I'm playing Crackdown so much.
You sounded a little sad.
Well, I played a lot of Crackdown. Now it's just like people just like, oh, I need to find these orbs. Let's go play Crackdown. I was like, all right.
I was going to go to bed after I finished the Mass Effect DLC last night, and then Matt's on playing Crackdown, sends me an invite, and then by the time I look at the clock, it's like 1 a.m, and I'm like, oh, I'm not even awake anymore.
And it was great because after we got the agility orbs and the online orbs for you, we all like shifted back into that complete silence, looking for orbs in the same game together, but not talking to one another
Yep.
thing. It just became like this weird sort of junky situation. And yeah, for like 20, 30 minutes, no one said anything. We were just jumping around looking for orbs, and that gets
because
really
I
eerie.
had those 3 left. So basically,
Yeah.
taking someone that has all of the orbs and then comparing every single little spotted, graph on the map, basically, and going and like just counting and being like, okay,
creative
I
ways
need
to
1 in that
describe,
block.
the U-shaped black building with this over here, and so thanks to Ren and Magus, my online friends, for helping
Those
helping
last
Abby complete
3
those.
freaking orbs, yeah.
We after you left, we spent some time trying to do the wingsuit challenges.
Oh
And,
man, those
to
things are
the-
hard.
To whoever designed those, you, okay?
Tell us how you really feel.
I went to bed so angry last night. I got 4 of them done, but they are
How many are there?
10. But they are
They're
just
brutal.
they are the payback to the people who didn't like this game. I think because like whoever didn't like this game, I think they should be forced to play those over and over until they cry and promise never to do it again.
Man, that is cruel.
They're hard.
They're so
They're
hard.
really hard. And it's like you think you've gotten the last one. You're trying to get that third ring. Oh, I got it. Oh, there's another one under the bridge. I'm in the water. It's
The other thing too is there's very little tutorial that goes along with that
No.
wingsuit.
By very
So-
little, you mean absolutely none.
A little icon
Press
pops
Y.
up, and
Just
then it's
press Y.
gone, and then I had to go to Game Facts. I was like,
wingsuit.
whoa, wait, how do I use this thing?
But this is just not again. I think the wingsuit should have more Rocketeer and less Rocket the Flying Squirrel.
Yes, jetpack.
It's I'm being overly negative here because
Yeah, well, I mean,
now I'm
so-
in the, and
now-
I'm in the
yeah,
end
we're-
game.
we're-
There's
Again,
a
anyways,
lot of
Morgan,
things
you
that
reviewed
can,
it.
Yes,
Yeah.
there are a lot of things that you can nitpick about this game. Lists and lists and lists. I think my original review that I wrote, which was way too long, you told me to cut it down, which was good, was a lot of like, and you know what else sucked about this game? And let me write a paragraph about how I don't like the building design. But then in the end, it was like, but
But I love it.
I like the game. It's really fun. I'm upset about how amazing the game could have been.
Yeah.
If they had fixed
Targeting?
the targeting, the climbing. They kind of fixed the driving. Like, It was doable.
They at
Yeah,
least
I mean,
made it easier
I like
to do
that
the
all I had to
orbs.
do-
Like, the
Yeah.
upgrading part of it is easier in Crackdown, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the first one I didn't level up my driving until almost a year after the game came
Oh,
out,
no,
just
yeah.
because I got sick of it. And then this one, that was one of the first. I was like, oh, done. I just drove through a million zombies, which I love doing.
Oh, yeah, it's
and, and then I had it leveled up, but like, God, they just didn't fix so many of the things, the little
know.
grasping onto things and the building. Oh God. The
Everyone
targeting,
says
everything.
that, and we've all poured, you know,
Yep.
So many
dozen,
hours
2 dozen
into
hours
it.
into the game, beating it multiple times, and it's those orbs.
I
Like,
kept
there's
saying
something
I
about
I
them.
kept saying on this one that I was going to eat my words because I had said that I don't care what Crackdown 2 is as long as it has more orbs and I can collect them.
What?
And that's basically what it is.
And they
that's-
have different kinds of orbs too. I really like the agility orbs that run away from you. At first,
I
I
don't
liked
know
a
about
couple
that.
of those.
I
and
like
then-
those.
enjoy
I like it
those.
for the occasional times that I managed to track them down. Also, actually, one small thing, I didn't realize they had difficulty labeled on the Renegade orbs.
They do?
If you look
Really?
closely, they have, again, the thing that the game doesn't explain. There are spikes on them, and the amount of spikes explains the difficulty. So if there are 6 spikes, you shouldn't be going after it till you've upgraded to the 6th level
Which
of
the
agility.
voice will tell you, and then I tell the
Well,
voice to shut the up. But you know,
the voice, I feel okay. So I feel like they didn't have time to fix the instructions. I feel like they had intended to do some more instruction-y things, and maybe they just didn't end up in the
Something more than a
game.
button
I would have worked on the
screen.
maps and the menus
maps.
first.
The maps and the menus
Yeah.
Why do I
totally
have to scroll
suck.
all the way down
I
every
know.
time I want to check that? So bad.
There should have been waypoints for sure.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
should have
that's
been
just-
way
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
Since 2007, open world games now have waypoints.
And can I
The
get,
multiplayer was pretty useless,
Mm-hmm.
and
and can we talk about the helicopters in which we try to pick each other up in the helicopter? You know, you can ride on the little sides. And like I'm standing near the tail, I'm pointing to the little thing I'm supposed to ride on. I hit the Y button, and my guy warps to the front of the helicopter, rips my friend out of the driver's seat. I hop in, and then the helicopter rolls over and blows up. Like constantly. That happened like 3 times last
One of my
night.
favorite things I was doing in multiplayer was I would get a helicopter, go as high as humanly possible on deathmatch, and then totally just jump out and then hit the fist thing and go suicide bombing into the ground. It was fantastic.
I
Like-
really enjoy going to random people's games in co-op and just doing their stuff.
I mean, I was playing once with a friend, and I accidentally beat the game for them because I didn't realize that I was playing like the end. Like I triggered the end game mission. I was like, well, it's too late. I might as well.
See,
that's
And
what I
my friend's like,
wanted.
did you just beat the game?
That's what I
And it
wanted
cuts the
people to
credit
do
for
for
him,
me.
and I get kicked
You
out
get
of
kicked
his
out.
game.
No, that's what I wanted people to do for me. I'm like, I got orbs to
anybody
collect.
can come
Like,
into
you
my
can do
game
all
at
my
any
missions.
time. And
Yeah. I think
do
I
those
beat like
missions.
3 people's games for them pretty much. I'm like, you doing this mission? No? Okay, I'll do it. It's cool.
Remember when they were showing us the game and they had all the things where you could like chain things together with electricity? Did anybody find
Yeah,
that
that's
in the
the
game? 'Cause I never
that's
found
one
that.
of the grenades.
Yeah, the magnet.
the
mine.
magnet one, and that's how you do
I feel
it.
like a lot of the sandbox stuff got lost. Like
Yeah.
the agility or stuff is still fun, but
There could have been
I
a lot
remember
more.
doing a lot of stacking. I mean, maybe it was the DLC and Crackdown 1. I can't remember the timeline of it, but I just remember doing more
The DLC
screwing
had
around.
more stuff like that. In
And
it.
I
think it's-
didn't really
think it was
screw
because
around.
You had a sandbox, but there was structure to what you did. And here, they just kind of go, you're in the city. Boom, here you go.
And
Level up.
here's some
Here's
swarms
here's
of
some
things you can
orbs,
shoot at.
Here's some enemies.
Or shoot the cars around them
Yeah.
and
Hope you
not
played the
target
first
the
one,
enemies.
because
Have
otherwise
fun.
you're
Otherwise, you're
gonna
gonna have no idea what is happening.
I think the big issue is that, like, I think they assume too much out of the people playing it. And I think it's all hinged upon the idea that you played Crackdown, you know what you're supposed to be doing, but it's a different developer, and they had to rebuild the
But it's a
entire
lot of the
world
same
from the ground
people.
up. It is a lot of
Yeah.
the same people, but they had to rebuild everything. And there's things that you expected from playing the last one that are a little bit missing because they had almost like Call of Duty 3 level turnaround time to get
Yeah, they
this
had
game
not.
done.
They had no time.
12
and,
yeah.
and
12
it,
months.
Like
and-
12 months time.
and you can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's just a level of like somebody they needed like a few more months to go through the game and be like, these menus suck. We don't explain anything. We forgot to tell anybody where the magnet grenades were. Like
So yeah, they built it and then didn't iterate on it. Like
Right.
they did a couple of tweaks that you could do along the way, but it's really like the targeting's not any better because they built the targeting from Crackdown 1 and were like, we don't have time to build a new targeting system.
I think even the one thing that would have saved it for me is like, 'cause, as you get, your all your abilities leveling up, and then you get to the last one, and once I leveled up everything, like once I was getting to that 6th little red circle there, I was expecting that I would get something awesome
Yeah,
to play
nothing
with
happened.
because at the
do you at least get an achievement when you get to 6? All
well,
mine
you-
are like
no, at
in the
5
midst
you get
of
the
getting
master
6.
agent, and then at 6 you don't.
6 is
it's
nothing.
nothing.
It's just a bar
and
to
you don't
fill.
even get anything good for it, and that's what I was hoping because
Yeah,
like
it
at a
is
certain
odd.
point, as you're getting to level 6, you've beaten the game.
Yeah.
And And then I wanted, because people forget that in like the first Crackdown, once you did all that, there was nothing to do. It was boring. And
that's
this one at least
maybe that's
gives
why the
you,
DLC worked then, because there was literally nothing to do. Whereas now when you start over, you have random
but here you
missions
have
you could do.
plenty of things to, plenty of zombies to shoot and blow up, and there's still a lot of, I think, fun that you can kind of have with it. So I was expecting I would just get a lot of toys and things to play with, so that would extend my experience. And even if I'm joining my friend's game, I would just have tons of stuff to play with and do. And I never really got that. It just,
Which
kind
is
of
not,
stopped.
again, we did like it.
Yeah.
We had a much more
I think
positive.
that's
I want to say in feedback version 1, we had a much more positive discussion, and now doing the discussion a second time, just like,
Because all the things that we love about it are all
Right.
the things that we loved in Crackdown in the first
Crackdown.
one.
that's the thing. Yeah, but that
It's
hook
getting
is,
a pass this time.
I think that's
because
what
it's
it
still
is.
fun.
And if they do another one, no
it's
pass.
It's not going to get a
Oh,
pass.
the backlash is going to be really harsh if they just do the same
But
thing.
give
a
them
third
more
time.
development time,
Yeah.
and
They
you
get a
know,
solid 2 years. There's no the base
I think they can do a
gameplay
good
is
job of that.
still going to be fun.
Yeah.
2 years
Yeah.
from now, but they just need the world, the
yeah,
base
give us
mechanics.
a new environment.
But the
orb
orb stuff,
fix
that's
that stuff.
easy. Like
Yeah.
that's already there. That's still going to be fun. Just it's sort of the mechanics around that. Like
And
they've
hopefully-
done the hard part.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
don't judge the viability of Crackdown 3 by the sales of Crackdown 2.
No, because this was
I hope.
Microsoft's fault to begin with. Like they
Yeah.
didn't order a Crackdown 2, and then Ruffian
Forgot
was
to put in our order. Sorry.
someone was asleep. They were asleep at the wheel, and then we get this as a result of Microsoft screwing up what should have been the proper sequel that we probably would have gotten 2 years ago.
Yeah.
At this point, but I think we're on the consensus that they can get away with it this time. It's just sort of everything is so obvious about what needs to be fixed for the third
Yeah,
one that I
three's
can't
gonna be-
imagine
They
it being
know.
a repeat. Yeah.
They
Three's gonna have to
know.
be crazy.
They-
Huge.
Yeah, they put that game out and they're like, sorry. Here
But
you
you
go.
know what? Despite it all, I'm
Was that a
still,
developer diary?
Yeah. Our
Sorry about
bad.
that.
Sorry.
But I mean, at the end of it all, I've had to stop myself from playing it because every night that
Totally.
I play
Yeah.
it, I'm up until 2 in the morning, and then my next work day is miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, exactly. It's a boom, boom, boom.
I can hear that when I'm not playing. Like when I'm walking around the office, I can hear that orb sound, and it's like that is so messed up. If I could get that to be my
Your
text
message, yeah, that would be amazing.
That would be awesome.
You would want to text message.
Yes,
that way.
I would actually look at my phone.
Would that replace the Metal Gear codec?
I don't have the Metal Gear codec.
But you know what I love though, as we're talking about this is what I love about sandbox games, is like it's all about the experience. And I do love the fact that there's 4-player co-op added to it.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
it's no longer like, man, I did this. You know, sometimes I'll hear people talk about what they did when they played like Modern Warfare or something, but there's nothing compared to talking about how like when I was discussing how
Fallout was
Yeah,
a great. Fallout 3 was a
yeah.
great one for us.
My strategy for like building up my driving points is to like do donuts in a circle full of freaks, and it's just like it's like putting them in a blender. It's like it's the little
Delicious
strategies.
cocktail.
And you never
Also,
think of them.
you know, I've discovered this late in the game. You get agility orbs for sniping people off of a very tall roof.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah, they did that in the
That's
first
kind
game.
of oh really?
Yeah,
I had
you
no
can
idea.
totally-
I never
once you
used
get
the
your- yeah,
sniper rifle.
Once you
I
get
love
your
the
shoot
sniper.
skills up, if your shoot skills are up and you've got high agility, you get to a high roof, you shoot, you get a headshot, bam. It's like I used to call it centrums.
That's kind of amazing.
Everything you do with orbs, it's centrums. Like Crackdown specifically to me was like we used to make up lingo around this game. I've never done that with another sandbox game.
One of the things that we talked about in the earlier feedback was, Matt, you brought up one of the ideas we had for Crackdown 3 was kind of embracing red factions like destructibility. I think that would be really freaking cool in a Crackdown game if you could change the environment. That'd make it a lot easier to find those orbs.
yeah, but you just take the helicopter up and find all of them.
Yeah.
But
And then you have to skydive.
that would
and
pretty
then
much
get up and
ruin the
skydive
game
again.
too. Like I just leveled my city to the ground, and then you look up and you're like, well,
I think you just
Should make it a
the
whole lot
option
easier
to
to find the
reset the
orbs, though.
city.
yeah, I know you'd have
But
to
you
be
know
able
what?
to.
Can you imagine the narrator guy be like, "Well, you that up nice and proper, agent."
I do love how they used the announcer in
Yeah.
2. I love
Yeah.
that every time you get an achievement, it's not just, a little icon in the
Totally.
corner. It's like
That's an achievement.
Yeah, they incorporate achievement and it's such an awful pun and they know it. Like,
Yeah.
but they're incorporating it in the cheesiest way possible.
And
You know
I
what?
had
That
to
was
mocking you for
that was
doing
the
it.
spirit of the first game, though. The
Yeah.
first game, it was like a silent agreement between achievement whores and the game. That
Yeah.
The reason you were playing it was because you were collecting achievements. It was one of the first games to be totally
It's
like
achievements the game,
self-referential.
really.
It was. It was totally self-referential at a time where nobody openly admitted that they were playing like Disney's Cars for achievements.
Didn't
And
no.
and Crackdown.
At least-
was like,
at
Oh,
least
do you
make
get a lot of
achievement the
achievements
game
for that?
fun.
Can I borrow it?
Yeah, I also
should ask
love
what's up.
sometimes the pedestrians on the street will say stuff to you that's like, it's really, what you did. And like sometimes they'll tell you like things that you like screwed up, like, or it just was coincidence. And the guy said it at the same time that I did something that was phenomenally stupid in the game. And I was just like, really? And then you just turn around and I always have a rocket launcher on me and then just destroy them.
I mean, it's totally overpowered. That gun is
That's
totally
the only
overpowered.
thing I use. It's the same with the first game. As soon as I got the rocket launcher
the
this time
rocket
around,
launcher.
that's it. Except for I like the UV shotgun at night with the
Oh,
freaks.
it's so good.
Yeah.
That is a lot of fun.
Satisfying.
I love that.
I do,
Yeah.
and that's what's so interesting about Crackdown too is that even when you play multiplayer, we talk about it's not a very good single player game, but when you play multiplayer, you kind of play single player anyway. The way you guys are talking, the way I've played is like you get into a game with 4 people, so that occasionally you can meet up, but really you're just jumping around and getting orbs and playing a single player.
We
game.
collided helicopters over the top of the agency tower, and we were going for a live orb. But if you try to do it with 2 helicopters,
Yeah, that's rough.
Can't you like pick up orbs with the helicopter too? Like if you get
not agility, but live and special and hidden orbs. Yes,
Yeah, because picking up an agility orb in a helicopter kind of defeats.
really
the purpose.
defeats the whole thing. Yeah,
So how many more hidden orbs do you have?
80.
I'm missing like 100, 100 and
There are a
220,
lot
that's
of hidden
amazing.
orbs. There are a lot.
So do you are those? There's no way to find those. You actually
Well,
just
as I
have
said,
to.
you can do the kind of comparing thing that that we had been doing for like the last final, which I will only do if I have like
Very
2
few.
more orbs left or 3, because other than that, I mean, there's too many.
Well, most of you just go around and like ping everywhere.
Yeah, you
Oh,
back
so you
out.
can ping for the hidden ones.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you can back out into the menu, and then as soon as you back into the game, if you ping it, you get a wider view of the map, and same from the helicopter, although it works to some degree. So it's not actually that difficult until you get down to the final orbs.
Those
So we're doing a strategy guide as well as a review,
Yeah.
sharing the tips.
I wouldn't want. I wouldn't.
You're
want
not
to.
volunteering.
No, I got things to do. Comic-Con is coming up, and
It's
I
true.
have stuff to do for
Comic-Con is
that.
next week.
And I have a lot. I have a lot on
Your
my
life is
lot
busy.
on my
I'm
plate
sorry.
right now. Sorry.
Didn't mean to bring it up.
Good
Okay,
thing we got
man.
all those orbs.
Well, almost all of them. A subset of them.
I haven't done my laundry, but I have all those orbs.
If only there were orbs in the laundry.
I would, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would be good for one trip because then I get them all and then I come back.
There's a hidden orb in the dryer.
Well, it seems
You
you
didn't
know.
hear it?
Yeah,
If you need
no,
a
I-
ping,
it's
maybe that's on your
constant.
iPhone. There's a ping application.
Make it happen.
Delete the Vuvuzela app. Get the orb app.
I don't
Put 'em
have
on.
that app.
She's not
Sterling
Steve
does.
Johnson.
You do, don't you?
I don't. Steve Johnson does.
Boom, Steve Johnson
I
reference.
thought you'd promised never to delete that.
Steve Johnson promised never to delete it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Don't get that. Come on. Don't mix up Sterling with Steve Johnson.
Just because there's an ST at the beginning, don't get it twisted.
In any case, it seems like Crackdown 2 is one of those rare games that, even though we all sort of agree, has tons and tons of problems, it is well worth playing. Kind of
Yes.
in spite of itself, it is well worth playing.
Especially if you're going to play it with friends.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely,
If your
definitely
friends have
highlight
it,
with
then
friends.
yeah, absolutely.
It's like a chat room where you collect orbs.
yeah, exactly.
And don't
Except you
chat.
don't
It's like
actually
an
chat.
it's
Don't chat, right.
It's just really
Forgot
quiet.
about
Talk to
that part of
people
it.
or socialize.
And then every 20 minutes, somebody goes,
But I mean, speaking sort of this multiplayer dynamic, one of the question of the week we have from Brian D. Riley kind of alludes, discussing split screen, something we don't see as much in games these days. He talks about GolDeneye, a game that we're getting a remake of on the Wii. Part of the fun of GolDeneye is playing with my friends in a split screen environment. Glad the remake is coming soon. TVs are bigger now to accommodate this. A lot of PS3 and 360 games are moving away from that. I was particularly disappointed that the Red Dead Redemption co-op wasn't split screen. Not trying to be a cheapskate, but is split screen dying or dead? Kind of a downer because the social aspect of blowing stuff up with my friends now requires a headset and separate systems.
Yeah, I think about this a lot just because, I mean, I played GoldenEye the same way, and I don't like split screen in a lot of games because I just don't like having my view cut down by that much. And I did it in Borderlands for a little bit, Left 4 Dead, but I don't. I hate to be like the jerk who's like, just tell them to get their own system and a headset, but like it is really
Yeah,
frustrating.
do it. Because, I mean, I think I spent all the time I was playing GoldenEye back in the day, wishing we had 4 TVs.
Or
to
is
play
whenever
on.
you always
Because-
played at someone's house who had the biggest TV,
Right,
so it was
exactly.
less of an issue.
Yes,
And,
exactly.
Whoever had a
The best-
projector, we can.
My friend
Also,
Mary
the
had
best
the
time we ever had was
better
one of my friend's dads had a giant, like 70-inch projection TV, and when he would go out of town, we could use it. And so you had like your quarter of the screen was the size of a regular TV.
Yeah, we had
Nice.
my
That was
dad had a
great.
projector, and we projected onto the garage. So you would have like
That's
your
good.
own like 30-inch TV for each screen.
But I spent so many years wanting my own screen that I would never go back to that.
And at the
But it
same
could
time,
be
I
an
feel that
option.
pain. Yeah.
It could be an option. Like you don't have to use it. I'm not going to
Sometimes
use
it's
it.
just
But
not an option, though. I mean, sometimes some of these engines can't be run twice on the same system at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I think it depends on the game. There's certain stuff, like I remember when Gears of War came out and Gears had split screen.
I played a lot of it.
I had a friend who came over and he wasn't really used to playing shooters, and we got through the first level and half my screen made me want to vomit and I had to turn it off.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the drawback of split screen. Is like if you're playing with somebody who doesn't know what they're doing and there's stuff involving
fine.
cameras, you're just like, I'm running, and that's not cool.
But if you can have the option, like I don't mind having it there. I have had a bunch of times this year where it's been like, oh, people are over. Aside from playing like Rock Band or something, like,
Right.
I really want to check out that game. Does it have co-op? Yes. Can we play it again? No. You have to have your own.
can go in
system
the
to
other
enjoy the
room
co-op.
and we can play over
and you can play it
live.
over there. But like, there has been a few times recently where I've really just wished that we could just play on the same TV and enjoy the game.
think
So
it's-
I feel
it's
his
a
pain. I
context
really do.
sensitive.
yeah, and don't feel like
Even
a
though I
cheapskate.
hate it.
Don't feel
Yeah.
like a cheapskate. I mean, 2 consoles, 2 TV. I mean, it's
A lot
expensive.
of money.
people don't
It's a lot of
have that.
money.
Well, it's
Yeah.
also, like
I don't
in
have
that
2
case, it's more of a
consoles.
matter of convenience. Mm-hmm. But like again, I will always take the online separate system play over
Yeah.
split screen if you can only have one.
I'm selfish.
Yeah.
I mean, when you grow up and you're playing PC, there's no split screen on PC.
No.
No.
I think ultimately, sort of like the in between of that is that we totally understand when games can't do it, but more developers, if they can think, because every developer I've talked to, when they can do it is when they've said, we're designing the game, we want to have split screen in. Like Left 4 Dead, they said from day one, we said, this game has to have split screen. Gears of War was the same way. We have to have split screen. If you're going to do it after the game's been sculpted for single player and online multiplayer, your engine
Yeah.
can't handle
It's
it.
not going to do it well.
I wonder how many people. I gotta wonder what percentage of the audience out there, like gaming audience, like uses split screen more than say online. Like I mean,
Oh, I've done
We
that
get a
quiz
lot of
on
questions
Twitter
about
before.
it.
Really?
I've done
Had
that
a-
quiz.
had-
A lot of people.
It's
are
more
like-
people than you think.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
more
It's just
people
not
than
like
you
our
think.
friend circles because we're all
No.
people that are really into it, want our own screen. But especially
We're
like
paying for
middle
Xbox
America,
Live
like
and
that's
everything.
that's where
Kids
it
in
is
college
used.
dorms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like my cousin will come over sometimes and be like, "Hey, let's play this game in co-op," and I'm like, "No, I want my own screen." No.
But it's true. Like our televisions are so much. I mean, I remember playing Halo split screen on like just a tiny, tiny
It
television.
was for college for me. Everybody had tiny little like
tiny
TVs.
television.
Same thing with GoldenEye. It was like even the big. I mean, I didn't have the
Having a
projection things
27-inch
that you
TV
guys
was a
had,
revelation
but,
for
like, yeah.
GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Well, I think my leanings outside of like racing games, which absolutely need split screen. It's like most of my multiplayer
true.
games when I was in college were like games where you just shared a screen. I played fighting games. I played wrestling
Yeah, but
games.
playing a
You don't
fighting
need
game with
split
someone
screen.
else doesn't split the screen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
So
like you-
that made me less sympathetic
Right.
towards split screen at a
They
time
should just
when
do that
everybody had
every
split
10 matches
screen.
just to screw with you. Just split the screen.
Just gonna mess it this way.
What are you doing?
I
And
can
I
tell
think
you
the
one.
advent
I
of
can tell you
widescreen,
though.
too.
One game that absolutely did need split screen. I'm glad they have it. Is the Lego games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
They
finally in
turned me-
Indiana Jones they
Yeah.
figured out how to do that right.
They turned me from like homicidal to tolerant. Like those games seriously cause
Well,
fights in my
fortunately, they're
house.
short, so that
I'm
you don't
glad
have
you didn't
to.
murder anyone, Sterling.
I'm
Yeah.
glad I didn't
Thanks,
either.
Yeah, thanks
society.
for that.
You're welcome, society. That one was for you. Yeah, those games like have caused so many fights, and then Lego Indy 2 patched it, and all of a sudden I'm not being run off the camera. Like the camera's not shifting me off the screen to my death and costing me all these bolts I collected.
And I think the other reason I really hope that they continue to do split screen in games too is like, I have 2 siblings, and growing up, it's not like we shared the TV that had a console, and as we got and my parents would never let us have 2 different setups at like 2
Right, of
different
course
TVs
not.
in the house, and a huge audience for games is teenagers and kids, and I would have been really sad if I couldn't play things with my siblings just because those fancy adults have their 2 setups in the house.
We are pretty fancy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, if
Also,
you're-
we can drink beer.
yeah, I mean if you're
nice.
if you're 12-year-old and
It's
your
pretty great.
15-year-old,
So can you if Morgan buys it for you at the corner store? I'm just kidding.
Nope.
Morgan would never do
For
that.
grown-ups only.
What do you think's in that mug?
It's
How
really
do you think we all
disgusting
came down
coffee,
here
actually.
a second time?
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Kind of needs to be washed. But it's Crosswords
Irish
DS, and when you put coffee in it, it sees the flag.
This is pure vodka.
Well, on that happy note, I think
That part's totally getting cut by legal, by the way.
Drunk group for coming down to film feedback.
Oh yeah, didn't they tell
time.
us not to keep making references to how much we're drinking? No.
Well,
It's joke-
too
it's
late
tea.
now.
Oh, God.
What are we gonna film it a third time?
No.
Abby, Sterling, Morgan, Matt.
See you guys
thank
tomorrow.
You for joining me in the studio for hopefully the last time this
Twilight
week.
Zone endless feedback.
Exactly.
And next week we'll see you at Comic-Con.
Yeah, there's plenty,
Comic-Con.
plenty more feedback every Wednesday. Everyone's going to be at Comic-Con. There's plenty going on. Feedback is every Wednesday. You can see it at g4tv.com. And Comic-Con is scary.
It's fun.
But we'll
Yeah.
see you all there.
And scary.
Goodbye.
Bye.
See ya.
Hello there. I'm Adam Sessler, host of X-Play, editor-in-chief at G4TV.com. I talk a lot about video games, and sometimes a camera is in front of me when I'm doing that. We call that Sessler's Soapbox. It takes about 2 minutes of your time, but trust me, you will hear invective and joy and probably a lot of rude things like you've never heard before in the context of video games. I do it for you, so you should check it out. It's up every Tuesday on G4TV.com.